All right, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Old Man's War by John Scalzi. Close the door here. The cat's trying to get in. Well, maybe we ought to just let the cat in. I don't know, but I just closed the door. Old Man's War, John Scalzi. If you saw my top 30 science fiction books of all time countdown, you know there was only a few authors that had two books on that countdown. One of those authors was John Scalzi. His novel Red Shirts made my top 30 science fiction novels of all time countdowns. And his novel Old Man's War also made it. Let's talk about the covers first before we dig into the details of this novel. You know I love graphic design and cover illustration. And Tor Books, they did a great job with this series. They used the great science fiction painter John Harris for all of the covers in the series. I've got them here. They are all just super dope. I love John Harris art. I think his science fiction paintings are some of the best ever. I mean, these things are just gorgeous, and all the books look real nice. In the Old Man's War series, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. Got them all, read them all. And they all just look sharp on the shelf because Tor Books took the time to use the same artist on each book. Fantastic. You know, I've met in my travels throughout all the Comic-Cons I go to and all the different authors that I meet and sit on panels with, I have actually met John Scalzi a few times. Now, when I meet authors, I typically get my books signed by those authors, and you've seen me show them off all the time because I name drop like a motherfucker. And if I've got signed books, I show them off. Well, guess what, folks? Even though I've met this guy, I've never had him sign any of the books because I never had any of his books with me when I met him. So I ain't got no signed books. I'm sorry, folks. Usually I show that shit off. You know, I've showed off hundreds of them on this channel. I ain't got any Scalzis, even though I've hung out with the dude a few times. Phoenix Comic-Con, most notably, is the one where we hung out quite a bit. Anyway, let's talk about Old Man's War itself. Old Man's War. I bought this thing about 10, 12 years ago, a few years after it came out, and it was getting a lot of buzz as like the next big sci-fi thing. And so I read it, and I was like, damn, that's fucking awesome. That thing was freaking awesome. This book, right out of the gate, had me hooked back then. And so I was like, I remembered it as just being so great, just so grounded in science fiction. It really reminded me of the old time sci-fi by Robert Heinlein and Isaac Asimov and those guys. And it just had that old time feel and the structure of those old time books and the sense of wonder of those old time books. And it reminded me also a lot of Ender's Game, where Ender's Game is about young kids going off to battle school. This is about old people going off to battle school. And I just thought it was a dynamite idea at the time that I first read this. Now, I have not read it since until just today. I sat on my front porch during a rainstorm and read this. It's very short. I knocked it out in 3 hours, and by God, I liked it even more the second time. Because I'm older now, folks. And this is an old man's fantasy. Old Man's War is about an old people. The society takes their old people, and with all of the knowledge that they have in their brain, and they give them a new body programmed with a sort of an artificial intelligence in the brain, sort of a computer that can talk to them in their brain, but with a brand new body that's like super muscular, super young, super fit, has almost superpowers to the body. So now you take these old people and you give them these young bodies when they've got their brains from just living a long time, and they've got a computer talking to them in their brain also. and they make them warriors. They make them the army people. And now that I'm getting older, I'm like, I want to join the old man's war. I want to go. I would fucking right now, I would take that deal. They'd say, hey, we need army people and we're looking for old people to just give up their old flabby fat middle-aged dad bodies and just go and become super dope looking Arnold Schwarzenegger built muscular fucking badass army people, and we're gonna shoot you off into space and you're gonna fight aliens. I'd be like, dude, I'll sign up right now for that shit. I'll do it. I'm fucking do it. I'm getting old. I can feel it. I'm like, back in the day, when I was younger and I played high school football, like Napoleon Dynamite's uncle, man, I could fucking throw that ball over a fucking mountain. And you know it's true, folks. I mean, I would suit up in my battle armor, my helmet and my pads, and I would run full speed into another high school kid running full speed right at me, and we would hit and bounce off each other and get up. We wouldn't give $2. We'd do it again all night long during a whole game. Folks, it takes me 5 minutes just to climb off of my couch now. I actually have to roll. I have to get momentum. Just, I'm off the couch, right? And it's like, I started reading this book on a porch during the rain, and I'm like, sign me up. Where is the sign-up sheet for this deal? Because I need to do it. Oh my God. Just doing the very minimal amounts of cardio that I've done just for this video. I'm starting to breathe. Instead of that old man breath like Tony Soprano had. When you watch The Sopranos and you can hear Tony Soprano doing the old man breathing. I'm there, folks. I am done. I need a new body. I need this brilliant fucking brain downloaded into an old man's war body, and I will go fight the fucking aliens. That's what this book is about. It really reminded me of Ender's Game and Robert Heinlein and a lot of those books. And the thing is what happens is our main character, he's an old dude, and he lives the fantasy like that I want to live, right? That I just explained to you. And he buries his wife. He signs up for the army. They give him a new body with the little AI computer in his head. And then they send him off to basic training. But before they even give him the new body, they run him through a series, him and a lot of the other old people. They run them through a series of tests and these weird, clever, insults. They're throwing all these puzzles at them and these insults at them just to see how they react to things, right? To see if they're really going to be good warriors or not. And that's just clever. That is the magic of this book. That's the magic of this book, because then they give them the new bodies, and then once they get the new bodies, then they go into real battle training. This is kind of like Starship Troopers even. When I say Robert Heinlein, that's what I'm talking about. This is like Starship Troopers and Ender's Game, where the magic of the story isn't in the battles that these people fight, but it's in the training that they get. And these old people get such some bizarro training, right? They've got puzzles and odd tasks they've got to, and they've got people insulting them at every turn, and it's funny. There's some clever, funny shit going on in this. And then once they're old people, right? And old married people. You get married for 6 months and you stop having sex. The sex is done after 6 months. And then think about 45 years of marriage or 70 years of marriage. You're dried up, folks. You ain't had action the whole time. And then they get these new bodies, and then there's female army people that got new bodies, and now everybody's got a hot new body. And I ain't gonna tell you what happens, but you can guess. All these old people with their old minds are now in these superhuman, super hot bodies, and they spend the first couple weeks and even the army trainers know what's going to happen, and so they just kind of back off, and they're like, we'll let them get this stuff out of their system, and then we'll send them to the real battle school. So yeah, they're just like rabbits. It's funny. This book has got the humor, it's got the adventure, it's got the military training scenes, which are just, and Scalzi puts in some great, unique ones. And if you know anything about Scalzi and any of his writing, he's just got a great, fantastic, one of the best senses of humors and one of the best comedic writers in the business. And it's just powerful in here, and it's super powerful in Red Shirts. And so if you just like your comedy on point in a serious novel where you're just laughing your ass off, but the novel isn't like a comedy novel. It's not like Terry Pratchett, you know. It's not even as comedic as, let's say, Dresden Files, but it's just got humor, laugh out loud. And then it's got the basic training with the old people and the new bodies. And I'm telling you, if this technology doesn't somehow get invented by the time I get really super old, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'll do. I mean, I need it. I need this. I found my new calling, people. Old Man's War, like I said. I read this thing when it came out. I loved it when it came out. In fact, I loved it so much that I put it very high. I ranked it very high in my top 30 science fiction novels of all time. Now, after rereading it, I would even maybe rank it higher. And it was pretty high ranked. I mean, it's a 10 out of 10, right? It's a 10 out of 10 sci-fi novel. This is a sci-fi classic like Ender's Game, like Starship Troopers. So go down in history as one of those books that will be loved for centuries. You got to read it. You got to read it.